Hello, friends of the internet. Today's knitting podcast might be a bit higgledy-piggledy, a bit off the cuff, more than usual anyway. I've had a bit of a difficult month, unfortunately. My sweet cat Aurora had to be put down. More on that later, I guess. Yeah, my head's been a bit all over the place. I've not been knitting for some of the month, and but yes, my finished objects have been piling up, and I really don't think I could wait till March to recap everything I've knit and all my in-progress items. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and do my best today. So hopefully you'll find something interesting here. I've got quite a selection of different items and yarn and such goodness to show you. So on New Year's Day, I treated myself to casting on the sailor slippers, which, I'd wanted to do as soon as I saw them come out. I have not felted anything before these, and it just seemed like such a fun process. I think everyone's on the same page there because it's such like bulky yarn that it's a really quick knit. Hello. What is? Look. Very small. The whole pair was done in 2 days. And yeah, so I think one slipper per day, but I did felt them together because people said it's sort of more of it's not an exact science felting, so you want them to go through the washing machine together because otherwise you might end up with one bigger than the other. Anyway, I did use the recommended Drops Snow yarn, and it was very nice to work with. I really like the color choice I went with. It's sort of this burgundy, reddy brown, a really nice periwinkle blue, and then the pop of pink on the edge. I will say that I kind of understand why the examples had a grey bottom, because if you have pets, and I have defloofed these, but just the pet hair will stick to the bottom like crazy, more so than most knits. I think something about the hair on felted items just catches all the fluff. So yeah, they can get a bit gruesome and hairy, but at the same time they are really cute and keep your feet warm. They're not quite slippers in the traditional sense, so somewhere between a sock and a slipper, but yeah, the instructions were very clear. I like the process. As you can see though, so I bought the Rico glue, or like anti-slip rubber something, and it's not fully adhered to the bottom. Maybe that's because I wanted to do more of like a fun design than just the dots. I think the dots have mostly stuck down more successfully. We'll see if, how much actually stays on. But from the few times I've worn them after doing the rubber grippy soles, they've definitely make a massive difference to the amount of slipping, and that there is now none. But yeah, once the loose bits come off, we'll have to see. Which is a shame, because I think they look so fun with the spiral and hearts and stuff. Speaking of hearts, I also did a little embroidery on the right foot, just so that when they went in the washing machine, they wouldn't get mixed up, because I think a few people, when they've come out the other end, they looked too similar that you couldn't tell which was meant to be the right or the left. And the right and left feet are knitted differently. So that's kind of a tip. You don't have to do anything as complicated as a heart. Maybe just add your contrast color, like a little cross or loop or something, so that you don't lose track of which is which. The only thing I'm considering doing with them now is adding like an insole to make them feel more slippery. Slippery? Yeah, slipper-like, not slippery. Actually less slippy, but add a bit of support and cushioning. That's the idea. So I'm just going to get size 5 insoles, which are my shoe size, and they're quite wide, like compared to a normal shoe. So I'm hoping there won't be any trouble fitting them to the inside. So I've not seen anyone do that yet, but it seems like it would work. It's the only reason why it wouldn't. So yes, that's the sailor slippers. If you haven't knit them yet, it is a really fun thing to do, even if it's not something you want for yourself. If you want a quick gift knit, it's a great pattern. Would recommend. Now, using the recommended amounts of yarn, I had quite a lot of drop snow left, so I wanted to do a little felt bowl. And you can see it matches the colours on the sailor slippers. They look really cute together. So I have this on my bedside table, and I put like little trinkets and stuff that I like have been using in the daytime, like jewelry, things like that, in the pot, and then the slippers are by the bed. So yeah, I think they look really cute together. I just found a free bowl pattern, felted bowl pattern on Ravelry, and then I added the I-cord in the same applied I-cord method as the slippers. And I didn't really know how big it would end up, but I think it's a good, decent size. I left it to dry on top of like a small bowl in my kitchen, just to give it that shape, because it was looking a bit flat. But the thing with felt is it is quite moldable. So if you wanted it to be deeper or shallower, that molding process is very important. Okay, next finished object is this, I think it's my favorite things, knitwear beanie that has been on my wish list for this winter. And it was also quite a surprisingly quick knit. I thought that it might be a bit confusing because of the I-cord boucle parts, but actually it was explained very well and clearly in the pattern. I didn't have any moments where I got stuck, so that is good. The brim is triple folded. For quite a while I was wearing it without having sewn down the edge, and it did kind of roll down and was a bit annoying like that. But last night I've sewn the edges down finally, so I think it'll be a lot less fiddly in that regard. In terms of warmness, it is pretty warm, but surprisingly not as warm as my Sophie hood. And I feel that's more of the shape, in that my neck is more exposed and also like my hair is not trapped as much as close to my face. Like I feel the Sophie hood's so insulating because it's keeping all this hair around my face. But yeah, it's actually not been below freezing more than a day, perhaps this winter, global warming. It was 15 degrees today, so I didn't even need a hat. I've really liked having this as an option in my winter headwear rotation. So the boucle is the Drops Alpaca boucle, which yeah, I liked the colours more than the recommended boucle, and I held it double. It was like a little tricky to knit with, but not as hard as I thought it would be. And yes, every now and then I did seem to add or subtract a stitch to the row, but I just counted my stitches every so often and did, yeah, an increase or decrease as needed. But obviously, it's just so forgiving because it's so boucle. Like you can't see the individual stitches. So yeah, you can't see if that went wrong at all. So don't stress if that's a reason you've been avoiding it. As for the main part, I used the recommended Eco Cashmere. I've never knit with a pure cashmere yarn, and it seemed like a good chance to do so in that it only used one skein. So it is held double, so you kind of ball up the skein into two balls and then hold it together. And actually, I still have quite a lot of it left. Like, it uses so little for the parts that you knit with it. And yeah, I'm really happy with the color choices. I think it looks kind of medievally. Obviously, it's meant to look like a sheepskin shearling hat. Um, but yeah, there is no sheep in this one. I don't think it's all alpaca and cashmere. I think it's really cute, and it was a fun knit. I actually am thinking we could use the pattern for like if there was a fluffy yarn, like that kind of hairy looking one, that you can make a fur looking hat by omitting the I cords, just doing a standard hat using this pattern and maybe like a fun pastel color. So yeah, I might actually knit this pattern again, but with fluffy fur yarn. I've been playing Crusader Kings this month, and yeah, this hat is reminding me of one of the hats in that game. So by the end of January, I had finally finished my husband's Christmas present sweater. I've discussed it in other podcasts, I think, but it is the Puntal raglan, and it's made with very rustic Shetland wool. So hopefully it will last him a long time. The experience was not the most fun just because it's really boring for me to knit this kind of plain stockinette jumper, if I'm honest, especially in quite a beige color. But it does look very nice, and like I do like the marling of the color in the end. My big problem with this was that the sleeves were way, way, way too long the first time I knit it, and I'd knit both sleeves. They were also too wide, and yeah, so I just had to undo all of the sleeve and kind of do my own increases, which, to be fair, I think I did not measure the height gauge, like the number of stitches for 10 centimeter height. So, I mean, it must be that I am off gauge in that direction because in a lot of patterns, like I'm pretty sure on the body, it will say knit for 30 centimeters or whatever, rather than knit for 10 stitches, decrease 10 stitches. But in the sleeves, I think it was not so much centimeters, it was more number of stitches. So yeah, I had to do it myself. And I also, from the rosy sweater, there was sort of that finishing of doing a double, like two rows of double knitting, so that your ending of your ribbing is nice and thick before you do the Italian bind off, and it looks so much better. So yeah, if I circle back, I also had to redo the ribbing for obviously the sleeves, but also the body. It was curling like really badly, like it would have been unwearable. So I did do the double knitting technique, and more importantly, to stop that curling, you do, I think, a purl then a slip, a purl then a slip for the first round, which lets that knit stitch sit like flatter. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the link to the tutorial I followed. But if you ever find your ribbon curling, that seems to help quite a lot. I don't know if it's something to do with the tension of the way I knit, or if everyone gets that problem, or it's something in certain yarn types, because it happens sometimes, but not all the time with my knitting. But from now on, I think I will do that wherever possible to avoid it happening again, because you don't immediately see it, and then you might spend hours doing ribbing only to find that it curls at the end. Yeah, so not much more to say on this besides he wore it to go ape at the weekend, so now it already needs a wash, and it's, I don't know, got muddy from various tree material. But at the same time, I won't be washing this. He can do it himself. He's more than capable. So I have a few kind of finished objects. So I finished knitting this. I have been looking at mini bonnets for a while. Like, you've seen them in some, what do you call it, like ready to wear fashion brands. And I thought about buying the patterns, but then at the same time, I know how to do increases, decreases, and I-cords now. So I thought, why not just make my own one? So I thought it was quite important that it covered the ear to keep it warm, because that's where I mostly feel the cold. And it's kind of hard to do this without a proper mirror, but I just kind of keep part of my side fringe and tie the I-cords thusly. But the reason why it's not fully finished is because I haven't blocked it yet. I think it might lay slightly flatter once I've blocked it. Not that it isn't wearable now, like I've already worn it outside because I was curious as to how warm it would be. And the answer is pretty warm, but not too warm. So again, unsurprisingly, the Sophie hood is maximum warmth. And this is, yeah, more of autumn, spring, or, yeah, warmish winter day rather than, yeah, super snowy day or anything like that. Yeah, I was thinking about doing a tutorial for it, and I've started being grabbed. Ugh, tangling of yarn. I got these two balls of, they're meant to be blood orange color, but to be honest, they're more of just the neon orange, aren't they? They are cute. Yeah, I just started the I-cord for another one. Yes, I didn't see any tutorials already out there for free of a bonnet this style, and because it's just so simple, I think it's a really good beginner project. So yeah, we will see if I get round to completing that video. I also kind of want to do a cat ear bonnet. Like, I've seen a really cute bonnet for cats that is like cat sized, but if it could be extrapolated to be human sized, like it's less of the just square beanies that people have been wearing, and it has like more shaping, and it just looks really cute. So that might be my next bonnet project. But yeah, I'm still very much team bonnet when it comes to winter headwear. I just think they're really cute. So the next project kind of straddles finish object and work in progress, because it is finished at the size it is, but I'm thinking to continue to make it like a human-sized bed blanket. So I started this blanket as my big scrap project. So it's just a crochet kind of granny style that goes outwards in all the different colors. And my idea was to try to keep each block like the same kind of width while I alternate with the colors. But yes, as I was working on this, and my cat was falling ill, so she was finding it harder and harder to eat, unfortunately, and the vets were thinking it was dental pain. So they'd booked in a dental for her, but the soonest they could do was in about a week's time. Um, and yeah, I just knew that it was something worse because, yeah, just her demeanor, like I could feel that she was in a lot of pain. And so, yeah, I had to kind of beg the vets to give me some pain medication for her. But anyway, she was sleeping under this a lot while I was crocheting for her. And when it came time for her dental exam, I wanted to have all the ends woven in so that she could take it with her. And it was during the dental exam where they were thinking they were going to be extracting teeth that they found a large tumor. And yeah, by that point, she was not eating at all, and I had to force feed her, and she was not having that at all. And she's quite like a fiery personality, and it must have just been so painful for her. So um, yeah, judging by the things that vet was saying of how it looked, the outlet wasn't looking good, and they would have had to remove like part of her tongue, her jaw. That's if it hadn't spread further, and because she wasn't eating by that point, we thought the kindest thing was to let her go, which was very difficult, and I miss her so much. Obviously, it's so weird not having her here. If you have, yeah, a cat or dog, I'm sure you can relate to, like, it's very difficult losing them, and it's because we love them so much that when they're gone, yeah, it's like a part of ourselves is gone. But yeah, the love they give us while they're here is worth the heartbreak when it comes time for them to leave us. Um, but yeah, I was thinking it might be nice to um, continue with the blanket, and we'll always have this to remember her by, and we have a lot of things to remember her by. I've yeah made some photo albums and things like that. Um, yeah, as it is, there's not much I can do with it at this size, so I think I will continue once I'm ready emotionally to tackle continuing with said blanket. Oh yeah, it was also quite difficult continuing working on my main work in progress after she passed, just because like she'd been sleeping in it, and the I cords actually she like discovered this was her new favorite toy, like playing with the I cords. And yeah, I know it has pulled some of the fabric and things like that, but that's just happy memories now of playing with her. So yeah, after a week or so, I was able to pick this back up again, and I want to kind of finish it. Yeah, in her memory. I think it is looking really cute, and it's one of those things, isn't it, when you are making something, or like maybe some clothes you were wearing, and at a time in your life, like it brings you back to that moment. And yeah, so I didn't want to stop doing this, and I'd put so many hours into this, and um, yeah. Let me circle back to what it is. So it is a Jackie sweater. It is actually a free Filcolana pattern, and it's kind of a rugby style polo top, and it uses Intarsia colorwork. So this is the first time I've done Intarsia, and I think it's a really good first time Intarsia project because it's all squares. So it's kind of easy as you can get in terms of charts, and also there's a lot of squares, so by the end of the project you will be very familiar with Intarsia and confident in it. So there are some downsides to this project. So firstly, you will be making I cords for days on end. Like there's so many, I've not even I've still got 6 to do for the sleeves. And so you have to do really long ones that go all the way up and around to the back. And then you have to sew those I-cords on. Speaking of sewing, so I've already spent at least 2 full days weaving in ends, but there's still loads to do still, and even more once I finish mattress stitching up this sleeve. So I have done, the body is completely done. This sleeve is done except for the weaving in of the ends. And then I'm on the last sleeve. It needs the ribbing to be 6 centimeters long, and then it needs to be, yes, mattress stitched up. So it's a flat piece because intarsia in the round is allegedly very difficult to do. And I think maybe I'm not so scared of working on flat items because I have spent a few years learning to sew garments over lockdown. So the construction of like how things fit together like makes sense in my mind. What I'm trying to show you here is you stitch all the way along the sleeve and then down at the sides, and that makes the finished polo. The collar is done, like it's meant to be worn vertically, and it's, yeah, nice and squishy with the double knitting. When it comes to buttons, so I was knitting this in February. It's a bit Valentine's-y, but I really liked these handmade Matilda Bell ceramic hearts. I think they look a bit vintagey, maybe. I think they'll be really cute. I think the color matches the red and the pink really nicely. I know this is going to be a very over-the-top, extra maximalist sweater. I like to have a few of those kind of crazy standout pieces in my wardrobe, so hopefully I'll get some wear out of it. It is also very heavy, and I think that's mainly all the I-cords, so it'll definitely be very warm. I used half of the recommended yarn, but the alpaca-y Filcolana yarn was sold out in almost every color, so I used a Viking Garn's yarn for the equivalent quantity and colors, so it is quite a mild effect. I was, yeah, inspired by a hand towel that I saw for these color combinations, same as the slippers, although like this is more of a sky blue, this is more of a periwinkle blue. I think in general I prefer this kind of blue, but I don't know, it's nice to have different colors, isn't it? For variety. Yeah, I'm just really excited to get it done. I don't have any of these rugby style polo shirts yet, and I've been really wanting one, so that will be very fun. Yeah, I think this evening I'll be able to get the arm finished. Then it will be time to block, and then I'll do the buttons after blocking, I think, because they're ceramic. I don't want to bash it around in the sink too much and then smash the buttons. It seems like something I would do. So my next work in progress is a pair of socks, and I have finished the first sock. This was some yarn that Santa brought me. My mum is a very kind and generous person, and she continues to bring me a Santa stocking each Christmas on behalf of Santa, of course. And this year I requested some sock yarn, and this was a Malabrigo sock. I have to check the name exactly, but I think it's such a beautiful color, isn't it? Like, beautiful. The sock itself, I think, is called a business casual pattern, and like it is quite a time-intensive sock, and I also think I'm still learning on getting the right fit of a sock. This feels quite tight at the moment, but it is superwash, so we'll see how much it blocks out. Hopefully it'll stretch a bit. But for some reason I've been knitting socks with 2.25 millimeter needles, but I think most patterns call for 2.5. So maybe that's part of my problem. I have since ordered some 2.5 mil needles. I think, and it probably depends on the pattern. From memory, I think I was following Made by Florence tutorial, and I think she uses 2.25 more often. But yeah, all kind of depends how tight a knitter you are, and yeah, how wide your feet are. Like in general, I think my feet are quite narrow. Anyway, I can get these on, just it's a little bit of a challenge. And the only other pair of socks I've knit was with non-superwash yarn, and I think they did shrink slightly in the wash. I think I still have a ways to go to perfect my sock knitting, but you know, that's what makes hobbies fun, is you can get better and better each time you try something new. Yeah, so this is like a slipped diamond pattern from memory. Like, I'm very obsessed with diamonds and argyles and checks. You know, you get stripy people, polka dot people, and I'm like a diamond checked person. To avoid second sock syndrome, I did start the second sock. And here is said yarn in a ball. But I then quickly moved on to my main project because I'd finished my husband's jumper finally, and I was so excited to finally work on one of my main pieces that the second sock got left on the bench, the lay-by. I don't know what am I trying to say. Yeah, forgot about it for a while, which is annoying because, as you know, if you leave a knitting pattern for a while, it slips out of your brain, and coming back to it, you kind of have to start from scratch, and it will take longer than if I had continued and been a monogamous knitter. But that is life. Yeah, it is. I don't remember it being too difficult. I did add an extra row of diamonds to make it longer, and I do remember that I did that. So yeah, I am saying to myself that I will finish the second sock before I cast on my next main project. So speaking of my next main project, it will be the Clematis cardigan. I believe it is called. The very nice diagonal cardigan. I know Petite Knit did a version, but I prefer the original personally. And I've been really getting into olive colors lately. Like, I think my eyes are olive green. So, like, I know it's kind of a trendy color, and yeah, it's taken time to grow on me. But now that I've worn it a few times, like, I'm really keen to have a hand knitted item in that color. And what better place to buy olive yarn from than Knitting for Olive? I've actually never used the Knitting for Olive merino and soft silk mohair, so it's like the most classic combination for knitters of the internet online variety. So yeah, I've got to give it a try. I've bought the larger DK version of the merino previously, but I haven't used that yet either. But it turns out this shall be my next project rather than the other project I was planning to do with the other yarn, because I was kind of not certain about the colours, and I'm still not certain about the colours. But yes, I'm blabbing. The Clematis sweater, I need to do a gauge swatch ASAP, and I am also thinking to knit the button band down. Like, I don't think I would wear it unbuttoned, and in a lot of the worn photos, like, it's kind of looks like it's coming undone, or like, I think it would just look neater if it was sewn down. So if any of you have sewn down a button band before, feel free to give me tips. I'll yeah, need to find a tutorial for that. Or I guess just give it a go at hand stitching. Yeah, I'm not afraid of sewing. Like, I've done quite a lot of embroidery and cross stitch and stuff in the past. So yeah, here is said yarn. Like, I really love these Wool Warehouse sacks that they give you with the yarn. Obviously, they don't do Knitting for Olive, but like I tend to put my active whips in these bags, or my soon to be active whips. Once I've done my sock, my next kind of side mini project, I think, will be that wheat shawl that I've also had this yarn for a while and have been eager to cast on. I did do a gauge swatch. It was meant to be an unblock swatch, which I've not seen before, but I suppose with a shawl, it's less important that it is completely to gauge, because you'll just end up with a slightly bigger or smaller shawl. It's a one size project anyway. So yeah, that is also what I'm planning to do. I also found a project for this Noro yarn that I was actually thinking of selling, because as much as I like the colours, I didn't have enough to do a sweater, and I didn't like any accessories in such a variegated yarn. So I was kind of stuck until I came across a YouTube video of someone making one of those scrunchie bags with Noro yarn. And what she did was essentially separate out the balls into mini balls of different colors so that you can stripe with them. So I've done that on one of, I have ballified one ball, one big ball remains. And yeah, that is something I plan to make shortly as well. I'm glad to have found a use for that yarn. I've been kind of going through my stash, because I don't want any yarn just sitting there for years without a purpose. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions. And so far, I think I know what I'm going to make with everything, almost everything in my stash, apart from perhaps some fingering weight scraps and some mohair, excess mohair that I have. That stuff, I'm not overflowing with yarn. There is still space, so I keep it all in this here box, or chest, I should say. And then I keep my in-use yarn in the basket atop said chest. And that is my yarn stash, and I don't want it to grow any bigger than that. I think that is it for today. Thank you so much if you've made it this far. I would also like to hear what you're making and which of these works in progress you're most likely to see. Yeah, I hope you're having a good day and that winter's not been treating you too badly. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it seems spring's just around the corner, the daffodils are out, and yeah, hopefully better days are ahead of us with some sunshine. Yeah, take care of yourself. See you soon. Bye bye.